It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Okay, thanks for being with us here today. A final show of the week that is a first run. We'll have best of tomorrow, and we'll tell you about that near the end of the program today. Great P-Man here with you, Patrick Johnson. Thank you for being with us. Philip the Ref Pilkington is like a little kid at Christmas Eve and Christmas morning. Why, you may ask? Because we're going to talk to Jeff Gluck from The Athletic, NASCAR writer this hour. And Pilkington, dare I say, is a fanboy. Dare I say, Philip Pilkington.
Yeah, and I'm starting to go through withdrawals. I like the 2-week layoff. I like that I can watch the Olympics. Like Sunday night, it's kind of nice. Like that first week, I had Sox Yankees right after the Olympics. This Sunday, I got to chill out. And now it's kind of like, it's been 2.5 weeks. I'm starting to, let's go. Let's get some cars on track.
You know, and I don't know if we'll have enough time to, because they're racing in Richmond this weekend, and we want to talk about that, and we want to talk about the fact that you're getting down to the nitty gritty to determine the playoff field. Jeff's so kind with his time, you don't want to take advantage of him. Jeff, by the way, got his writing career started in Eastern North Carolina, in Rocky Mount. But Pilk, to me, for all the things that I like about NASCAR, all the positives, the certain races, certain traditions. I love that they've gone back to North Wilkesboro. I love the 500. It's my favorite race. You've been to it. You know how great it is when they run it.
When they run it. I've been to some Monday 500s as well.
Yeah, you have been. And, I like the 4th of July, right? I mean, I'm a sucker for all these, things. And I just think that for all those positives, there's a lot of things, and it's better than it used to be, in my opinion. They're just not, the schedule's too long. There's got to be a way to alleviate some of that. But I think people still want to watch motorsports. They do. It's just, NASCAR has been its own worst enemy at times. I would love to get in that with Jeff, and we probably will a little bit maybe, but getting him on to opine on that would be really interesting at some point. So anyway, we'll talk to Jeff Gluck coming up. Cole Barnhill is a guy that Pilkington and I know because he is the media relations representative for ECU women's basketball, and he has soccer and lacrosse and some other sports, track and field. So we know Cole professionally and deal with him. He's a great guy, smart guy. He has a new book that he has just written, and it is available for pre-order now. So he's going to be in studio with us to talk about that coming up today. So that's where we are. Certainly our condolences go out to the person and that person's family and friends. A person perished in the tornadoes that came through. I know the alarm and the alert woke us all up overnight. And it's just been a continual thing today, and it's been a real problem. But we're still dealing with Debbie, obviously. And as a result, they have moved the start of the Wells Fargo, of the Wyndham Championship back to tomorrow. And Little League Softball, after being wiped out yesterday and kind of trying to wait it out, just went ahead and made the call earlier. We're not going to get this to be played. I understand the field over at Elm Street, it's particularly parts of the outfield have really taken a ton of water. I mean, the infield's covered, but you have to kind of contemplate playability at this point if, things were dry and able to do that. So we'll see what is ultimately decided with how they're going to make that work. I know they would hate to lose the ABC time slot on Sunday, but we'll see what winds up happening. Pilk, anything else that yesterday we were trying to get to our guests really, really quick. So But the 99 team, not a championship team. They were champions in their hearts, with their hearts. But that was the team with the Hurricane Floyd team. So they'll be honored during the UTSA game. And I think that's brilliant because that, more so than the championship teams, and that's not to take anything away from the two teams that won back-to-back conference championships and Coach Holtz and that whole time in Pirate football, which I don't think gets enough credit. That 99 team kind of goes down in history because of the rally against the Miami Hurricanes. So there'll be a lot of emotion in the building that day, as they say. And I think that's a smart idea to do against UTSA because you'll want a little bit of extra juice in the building with them coming in. So really good move there to make that decision and honor the 99 team on that particular date. And should be a great crowd, too, on hand. Pilk, anything else that you think we need to touch on here quickly before we head to the Panthers tonight? Or that's right, they're playing.
This is what
Bryce
matters.
Young.
No Bryce Young,
Well,
but there's Panther football, baby.
Easy, sleazy. I don't think it matters. It'll be fun to have some football, but it's just far from matters. Andy Dalton is out. He's hurt. We're not going to see Bryce Young. So who is it that they're going to play a lot? Who do we expect to see a healthy
Jake
diet
Luton
of tonight?
and
yes, Jake Luton.
Jack Plummer, who I found out is not Jake Plummer's son or nephew or anything, at least that I could find, because I was like, oh, they got a guy named Plummer on the team. It starts with a J, but I do not think he's related to Bronco and Cardinal quarterback Jake Plummer at all.
All right. What are you looking for, before we get a break here, what are you looking for tonight? By the way, we'll have the game on our sister station, Talk 103.7 WTIB at 7 o'clock. What will you be looking for, Philip the Ref Pilking?
You know, you used to in this want to see chemistry amongst the guys, but they don't play any of the guys who are actually going to start. So I think you just want to see a guy at every position who you know can make the team and be a serviceable backup. So
and contribute.
Yeah, if it's not there, it's not there. But hey, good special teams, because a lot of these guys, if you don't start, you might start on special teams. So you want to be effective in the special teams game, and just a guy who you're not, freaking out if he does have to get in the game come October.
Jeff Gluck coming on. Prepared material for Gluck. How about that, Pilkington? Prepared NASCAR material for Gluck. So the great Jeff Gluck, athletic NASCAR rider, one of the best, actually the best. He's the preeminent guy. We're going to talk to him coming up right after this, and then Cole Barnhill will be with us in studio.
We have you covered with all the ECU news and beyond that you need for the drive home. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
As promised, we're joined now by the Athletics' Jeff Gluck, who covers NASCAR, and it's great to have Gluck back on with us here. We had Andrew Carter on back in the spring at the ACC meeting, Jeff, and now we have you. If we can get O'Boyd. And then there was the other guy,
Travis Sawchik,
who writes books. He writes books now.
Yeah,
my gosh, we have a reunion of the Rocky Mount Sports department from back when newspapers were a thing, man.
If there was an ECU writer from that paper, you could just rotate through. You would never need any other guests except the Rocky Mount connection.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, think about all that talent in the newsroom. The preeminent NASCAR guy, and then you got Travis writing books. Andrew's just a fantastic writer, and then you got O'Boyd, which O'Boyd's O'Boyd, our friend O'Boyd. That's all you need to know, folks. It's great to see you. It's great to have you on with us after the Olympic break. Things fire back up in Richmond. I know there's the thing with the soft tire and the regular tire. The only thing interesting to me about that is they use this tire at North Wilkesboro, if I'm not mistaken, and so this is the first time it's on kind of a more established track in a sense. So we can get into that. To me, the big thing, I guess, is out of the Olympic break, we have 4 races left, and there are 4 spots in the NASCAR playoff. How do you see that playing out?
Well, first of all, a few weeks ago, I thought Bubba Wallace was completely out of it in terms of the playoff picture. And now he's crawled right back into it and like a rocket. He's gotten some good finishes. And meanwhile, the other two guys who we seem pretty secure, Ross Chastain and Chris Buescher, suddenly they don't have the momentum, especially Ross Chastain. Bubba's only 7 points out now, and he's got some really good tracks coming up. Michigan next week might be his best track. So suddenly you're like, well, if you believe in momentum, Bubba Wallace might be making the playoffs. The only thing, NASCAR is such a weird playoff system, right? Because if you have a winner from below the bubble, a new winner, that moves the cut line up, because all you have to do is win one race. You could be 30th in points. You win one race, you're in. You jump over the top 16 in the points. So then the line moves down. But I really think now Bubba's close enough, and he's going to have good enough runs potentially that he could jump both these guys in front of him. So that could leave a scramble for Ross Chastain and Chris Buescher to go for that final spot if there is a new winner, which Daytona's coming up in 2 weeks. So the odds of a new winner are still pretty high at this point.
You brought up Daytona. I have a Daytona-related question, but this week is the 400, the Cookout 400 at Richmond. Do you get, when you go to the Cookout 400, they give you guys milkshakes? Do you get some of the good Cookout food? Do you get the pick or the Richmond tray? I don't, what is it, Henrico County tray? Do you get that up there in Richmond for the race? Do they cater?
That's a good question. You know, I feel like Cookout may have sponsored a Darlington race before, and I wasn't at that. I can't remember if they sponsored a Richmond race. Usually Richmond is like the Toyota Owners 400 or the Toyota something 400. And maybe that's only one of their races this year. And it's appropriate because Toyota usually dominates Richmond. So it typically happens where like a Toyota's in victory lane, and then you got people going, oh, of course, a Toyota race, Toyota driver won. One of those coincidental type things. I don't know. I mean, you would think though, like if you're going to bring milkshakes into the racetrack from a cookout, like how long are they going to, you're going to just get watery type. I mean, it's going to be a smoothie at that point, if that. So I don't know that I think you need to out that long.
I think you need to bring the milkshake machine from Cookout into and then that's how you execute. But you are right. You can't put them in a cooler.
There was a Quick Trip 400 at Atlanta, and they brought the whole Quick Trip donut, pastry thing. They brought the refrigerator with the sandwiches. They brought the hot dogs on the rollers into the media center. So it was like you were like living in a Quick Trip. So if they do that with Cookout, hey, I mean, you got some winning publicity right there, because media people are going to tweet pictures of food.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Jeff Gluck, The Athletic. We'll get back to racing in a second, but this lends me to, if you were going through the drive-through at Cookout, what is the Gluck go-to? And milkshake.
Well, I mean, Patrick, I hate to disappoint you, but a few years ago when I turned 40, we're getting old now, Patrick, since we were hanging out in the Rocky Mount days, my doctor told me, stop eating so much sugar. So I went cold turkey after. I don't drink milkshakes anymore. So, yeah, I mean, it's I'm like 4 years into like no sugar. It's a miserable existence, honestly. But that doesn't mean that I have like a healthy diet. So I would still eat burgers and fries. So I would just I would definitely get a cheeseburger and fries or something, but I would just get like an unsweet tea, and remind myself of my miserable sugar-free existence. So
I've lost 60 plus pounds since mid-December.
Wow.
And I would go with a chocolate milkshake is what I would go with, because you got to treat yourself, Gluck. You can't live like you're living every day. You can't live like I was living, but you can treat yourself to a milkshake. Of course, you might get sick at this point if you did that. My tray would have a burger. I'm going to go onion rings and corn dog. All right, Pilk?
Oh.
I'm going to go burger, chicken quesadilla, and the cheese bites.
Okay. All right.
Wow, I need to get more creative with mine. Holy cow.
No, I mean, burger and fries are fine, but you get the tray. That's the deal at Cookout. You get the tray. So.
Well, I live in Denver, and we don't have, a lot of cookouts around here. I can only get cookout when I'm in the cookout region. So yeah.
But
Yeah, I
aren't you guys
understand.
starting to get In-N-Out Burger? Isn't it making its way into Colorado finally?
We have In-N-Outs very nearby, so we're hitting
Okay.
In-N-Outs a lot. Way too much. Way too much.
Mhm.
That is offsetting. Whatever I've done sugar-free, I'm offsetting it by way too much In-N-Out.
Pilkington, when are you going to be back out in Colorado for like the 10th time this year? Pilkington's got like family there or something.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be there championship weekend. So what is that, like 9th November, like 8th, 9th, 10th, something like that?
Okay.
I wish I was going to
All
Phoenix for the championship race, but I'm going to be in Denver for a hockey game.
Well, I guess Gluck will be in Phoenix quite possibly. So if I was going to say, Gluck, you could take him to In-N-Out Burger or make him take you, because Pilkington goes exotic vacations like Thailand and Mexico, Monterey. I mean, he goes to all these exotic, so he's got plenty of money. The great Jeff Gluck is with us here. And so we're how many years into the playoff system, Gluck, in NASCAR?
Well, in 04, they started that original chase, which was just the 10 races. And so now this is, I think 2014 was the first year of this elimination playoff format where you have rounds in the championship race. So it's still a little bit controversial because, first of all, playoffs in general are controversial with old school NASCAR fans who were used to deciding the champion for a season long system. And then at least you could say, all right, well, 10 races to decide the champion. You're pretty much still going to get the true proper winner, right? Well, now having a final four with a one race winner take all system, it's people are like, I don't know. Is that really like the legitimate champion, a guy that just gets hot the last few weeks of the season? So people are still kind of pushing back against that. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to ask you then, because I mean, you have, again, you're kind of the preeminent NASCAR rider now, and have been. What would you do to improve it, or to crown what could be considered by most everybody to be a pure and true champion? Not saying that the playoff system isn't crowning one, because that's the system we're in, but in order to cater to those longtime fans who've stuck with the sport even through a lot of thin, but also make it exciting and appealing to draw. I mean, I always like the idea of some weeknight races. I think that has to factor in at some point, doesn't it?
Well, to your point, weeknight races would help shorten the length of the season. You could keep the number of races the same, right? This 38 week schedule. But the whole point of the chase being created and then the playoffs was because they were going up against the NFL on Sundays in the fall, deep into, all the way to November. And, NASCAR wanted something else to get people to tune in away from football on Sunday afternoons. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter what you do with your races or what format you have. You're not going to get people away from the NFL on fall Sundays. You're just not. That is the giant elephant, and it always will be. So to me, I mean, yeah, you could either shorten the season and then just have it more traditional playoffs, or I mean, if you just want to lend some legitimacy and authenticity, credibility into the format, I guess some people have floated out doing 3-race round to decide the champion. I wouldn't mind going back to the 10-race thing maybe. But what's crazy about this year, and this has happened multiple times. So right now everybody's vying for the regular season championship because it has 15 playoff bonus points, which is the equivalent of 3 race wins. So everybody wants to become the regular season champion so they can get these points. There's like 4 drivers within striking distance of it could go any way in any one race right now. And we're 20 whatever races into the season, 22 races into the season right now with 14 races to go. So a season-long championship this year would actually be thrilling. You have 4 guys who are right in the mix. So is that such a bad thing? Or our attention spans, if you get a dud year where somebody sort of runs away with it, okay, maybe that happens, but people just be like, okay, well, they deserved it, right? I don't know, but they're never going to go back. I get that because the TV networks would, NBC, if you came to NBC and you're like, hey, yeah, we're going to get rid of that whole playoffs thing that you paid billions of dollars for, I don't think they'd be very happy. But yeah.
Yeah, to me, it was almost like when they came up with this format, it's like, are they trying to relive the 92 Hooters 500? You had 6 guys going into that race that could win it. Is kind of what it reminded me of. But
they wanted that every year for sure.
Yeah, which I get it. I was disappointed last year because I'm a Byron fan, so that one hurt, but I understand it. So, but no, Jeff, kind of want to get to the big news, I guess, here in the last 2 weeks, and that's LaJoie not returning to Spire. Did that catch you off guard as much as it did most? And then also kind of piggybacking off that, I know you can't give away any unpublic information if you have it, but do you think that Rodney Childers will still go there? And if so, will he work with Carson or will he work with the new driver? Obviously, he's not going to work with McDowell now that McDowell's getting his crew chief back.
Yeah, to me, I think LaJoie was probably caught pretty off guard himself to be fired with a year left on his contract. So certainly it seemed like, hey, like this guy, yeah, he's not having the season he wanted, but Rodney Childers is coming in next year. He's going to get a chance to work with Rodney Childers, and this will be his one shot next year to really prove himself, right? Like prove himself with a championship winning crew chief with, way better equipment, the best he's been in, and then we'll finally see what he's made of. So to not see him get that chance, even though he hasn't sort of lived up to expectations this year, that seems like a bummer. You know what I mean? I would have liked to see, just out of curiosity, what would have happened. I think what probably did happen in reality is Carson Hocevar, being a rookie and outrunning his very veteran teammate in the same equipment, that kind of makes you go, ooh, wait a minute now. Like, is our veteran getting the most out of his stuff? Is he going as fast as he could be? Is he getting the results he could be? They must have thought no. They must have also thought, though, that they could get somebody better, because you're not going to get rid of somebody with a year left on their contract and decide this middle of the year, this year, and pair him with Rodney Childers, who you've already signed, right? So they must have somebody in mind that they feel like they can get, which is TBA, right? Like it doesn't seem like that's revealed itself yet. But it's probably also somebody who already is driving for an existing Cup team, because the other free agents, like the guys that were at Stewart Haas Racing, they're gone off the market, right? Except for Ryan Preece, but he's not an upgrade over LaJoie. You've already missed out on Chase Briscoe and Josh Berry, Noah Gregson, because those guys have already been signed elsewhere. So I don't really know who they're looking at and saying, all right, let's tell LaJoie he's out so we can pair X driver with Rodney Childers. But I mean, yeah, it's certainly curious. I'll be very interested to see who they end up getting, because I'm not sure I completely understand the move at this point.
We've got the great Jeff Gluck with us here with The Athletic. Let me ask you about the we talked about the NFL. There's talk of the 20th game being introduced, or a 20-week season being introduced, 18th game, 20-week season. That would obviously encroach on Daytona. So how would that, does Daytona, do they move it back? How does that ultimately play out, do you think, if that were the case?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a really interesting one, because Daytona's always been President's Day weekend, and the NASCAR season is sort of anchored around, it's like certain holidays and certain days. Like, you're always going to have the Coke 600 on Memorial Day weekend. You're always going to have the Southern 500 on Labor Day weekend. And obviously, so you sort of have like this loose framework to build the rest of the season around, right? So suddenly, if the Daytona 500 is supposed to be on Super Bowl Sunday, I can't really see them wanting to go up against that and play second fiddle to it. I mean, maybe there's a situation where
you run it Saturday.
Oof, boy, I think they would. NASCAR has too much of a pride factor, I think, to do that, to move their big race to that day. I mean, let's say it's a year Fox has a Super Bowl, and if Fox is like, we're going to have you as the lead in to the Super Bowl, you run it earlier in the day or something. That's a lot of
Yeah,
eyeballs, right?
I could see that. Yeah.
But
Problem is, it'll rain though, and then they'll end up happening at the same time.
totally. And then what do you do with a delay? Then you're running the Super Bowl the same time as the Daytona 500, or that's the worst case for NASCAR, right?
Sure.
So yeah, and obviously Fox doesn't have the Super Bowl every year anyway. So it's a rotation with NFL partners. So I really don't know what they would do. It's going to be quite an interesting situation for them. Maybe they do run it Saturday, but I mean that doesn't. Boy, NASCAR, that would be a big pride blow for them if they had to do that.
Yeah, but I think it would. I think you could couch it as it's, the lead in. I really believe you'd draw some eyeballs. I think you still would, especially running on a Saturday like that.
Like super weekend, right? Like this is hey, this is NASCAR's Super Bowl, and the next day's the other Super Bowl, and yeah, I mean,
well,
it's possible.
That would be the only way. I love the idea of the doubleheader, but it's just you can't guarantee the weather. Is the big thing there. You just can't guarantee.
They would almost have to say, we will try to run it in the morning, early afternoon. If we don't get it done, there's no way we're running at the same. We're running it Monday. We're not running at the same time as the Super Bowl. No way.
Yeah, that would tick more people off, though. I think if you ran it Monday like that in that scenario. So, Jeff, this was great. It's always great to have you on, and I hope we can talk to you again at some point here before the season is up. And really appreciate the time. Hope all's going well for you,
Patrick. When you shoot a text to me, I will be on your show. Always, for sure. No doubt.
Pilkington has your number now, so expect random texts about when somebody switches teams or something now in the middle of the night.
Fire away.
Gluck will answer you back now, Pilk, that he knows you're legit. So, all right, the great Jeff Gluck with us here. Awesome to talk to you, my friend. Thanks.
Yep, have a good one. Appreciate you having me.
More of the PJ Show right after this.
You ready for this?
Oh, I'm very ready. Okay, ready?
You ready?
Streaming to the world at 943thegame.com. This is the Patrick Johnson Show. Now in all his glory, here's the P-Man.
Okay, welcome back here. We always like to talk to people, local authors especially, about their books. And Cole Barnhill is with us. Cole, by day, is one of the excellent people at ECU Media Relations. By night in his free time, he's apparently a budding author because he has written a book, An Appalachian Nightmare. And I saw this and I got excited because it gave us a chance to have Cole here in the studio. If you're with us on the video, you can see the screen. Pilkington has put the book. It looks like almost like a parrot. It's on his shoulder the way Pilkington has it.
Well, I did it in this dumb program wouldn't let me edit it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Now,
but look, when we go to Cole's profile face,
there
we go. Now it looks
there.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, there's no off position on the Genius Switch with Pilkington now. I can tell you that. Cole, welcome. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You gentlemen and ladies that are in your profession generally do not like to be in front of a camera and in front of a microphone. So I really appreciate you doing this, and this should be celebrated. It's quite an achievement. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so the book is available, cwbarnhillbooks.com. Cole William Barnhill is the pen name, which sounds very, very haughty, but I like it. I like it there. Had this been a goal for a long time, and it just came to fruition? And how did it come about?
I started writing in college. I was an English major in college, which I jokingly tell all my teams. I majored in English and political science, so naturally I work in sports.
Yeah.
But I started writing in college, and this is the third book that I've tried to write. The first two will probably never see the light of day, but this one I got to a point where I was like, towards the end, I was like, this one may actually end up being a book, and love where it ended up, and worked with an editor in the winter and the spring, and got to a point where I was like, okay, this is going to happen, and tried to get it traditionally published, reached out to agents, and got good feedback, but didn't get anyone to bite on it. And I eventually got to the point where I was like, all right, it's time to let people read it who I want to read it, and I've talked about it enough that I wanted the people that care about me and care about my writing to get a chance to read it.
It says here coming October 10th, so that's the release date.
So it's available for pre-order on
Pilkington.
Philip the assist.
Pilkington came in and moved the microphone. Great job there, Pilkington. I've never seen you move so quickly. All right, go ahead, Cole. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's available for pre-order on Kindle now.
Okay.
I'm publishing it through Kindle Direct Publishing, which is Amazon's program.
That's pretty cool.
So the ebook is available for pre-order, and then October 10th, the paperback will be available for order.
So it's an Appalachian nightmare. I have to imagine it was a bad dream of some kind that happened in Appalachia.
So the book came to be. I was living in Radford, Virginia. I was finishing.
That's a nightmare in itself.
So
I'm kidding. I'm joking. I
was finishing up a year in Radford, working as a communications assistant there, and so the book. I don't know how it started, but eventually I got to a point where I was like, "This is a story," and it's sort of my love letter to Appalachia and to my friends back up in Radford, and it just came out of a poem that I had written a few years ago and blew up from there, and eventually became a full-fledged book.
So what is the premise of the book?
So the book tells the story of a woman named Jessie. Split timeline between her childhood and her present day.
Okay.
And the childhood is this tragic childhood with her best friend and her parents. She deals with a lot of loss. And then the present day is her finding her own way and finding hopefully a positive take on life and finding a better life for herself at the end.
You say that a lot of this work was put in the winter and the spring. Mm-hmm. There's really with the makeup of the ECU Media Relations office, you're not Jody Jones working like a half a sport. No, you're working a lot over there. You guys work multiple sports over there. Where'd you find the time?
Try our best,
Well, there's travel.
So I actually finished the first draft on a plane with the ECU women's basketball team in January of 2023. We were going to Memphis, and I finished up the first draft.
Oh, wow.
So much of it was written on planes and in hotel rooms. A lot of it was get off work and write, and the writing is an escape for me, and it's a different kind of writing from what I do during the day, so it's a little more relaxing and fun. And, when you work in sports and it doesn't feel like work most of the time, it doesn't feel that bad to do more work after.
So after one of the softball games this year, Pilk, I think I was back in the control room talking, and maybe it was there a little later than I normally would have been. And it was pretty late in the evening. And I'm leaving, and then it's like 7 o'clock, and Cole's taking off for a run. He's going to run. So I thought, this guy here, boy, that's commitment, going to run after a long day, because I'm sure you'd just written some kind of press release and sent it out and that kind of thing.
What I will give Cole is Cole will work, run 6 miles, and then come kick butt at sports trivia with us.
Oh, okay.
He might down a meal and a half after he does it.
That is true.
Well, you got to eat.
But
it's true.
If you're running 6 miles, you got to reload.
Yeah, but man, when he does it, he comes full ready to go. He's got his area of expertise to the trivia team, and he never fails. It's perfect every time.
We're talking to Cole Barnhill, ECU Media Relations. He's also the author of the upcoming book, An Appalachian Nightmare, under Cole William Barnhill, cwbarnhillbooks.com, and pre-order on Kindle.
Yes.
For a digital copy. The paperback will be out in October. Sports trivia. Is Pilkington knows a lot of inane things that nobody cares about.
He's an underrated member.
That's a nice way of saying doesn't contribute a lot.
He will bring the facts that no one else has.
The one thing.
He knows
It would be like a Super Bowl team and he makes one putt.
It's funny you mentioned Super Bowl. Anytime Super Bowl category, he knows anything that has ever happened in the Super Bowl.
I said Super Bowl, but I'll roll with your premise.
Yes.
He knows everything. He does seem to know a little something about.
Yes.
It's kind of, you guys are way too young, but it's kind of like the guy Cliff Clavin on Cheers. Knows a little bit about well, Cole knows. Cole's an old soul.
I was going to say, you don't think I watch Cheers? Come on, you tell me I'm an old soul every day.
Well, you are an old
The only
soul.
person who's more of an old soul than me that's in my age group is probably Cole.
Oh, okay. Well, good. It's just three
Cole,
old dudes hanging out here.
Yeah. I will say, like, Cole has I thought I had a well-rounded taste in music, and then I started hanging out with Cole.
Really?
Yeah.
We
Okay.
kind of vary it.
I see.
Phil's a big little-known fact there, normie kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little known fact, Normie. That's awesome. That is fantastic. So, with the book, you say you wrote it kind of in your spare time and when you're not running or carrying the team at Sports Trivia. Was there ever a point where you kind of had to get away from it and kind of put it down or noodle through something, or do you just sort of, is it like when you're working on a song?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely...
Okay, this isn't working. I'm going to sit it to the side and I'm going to go work on something else or work on something with the
Writing
song.
is never linear. I think I wrote 2/3 of it, and then the last third took me 6 months. It's start to finish going to end up being about a 2.5-year process for the book, and I would write in spurts, right when I can, and then there were periods where I didn't get anything done on it. And then once I wrote the first draft, I did put it down for a while and let it sit, and so I can come back to it a little bit fresh.
What were the other two books? What were they about?
So one was just a bad YA book.
Okay.
It'll never see the light of day. The other one was a political thriller, which will also never see the light of day.
Well, no, that would seem it would be appropriate with the world we're in right now.
It was dumb.
Okay.
I mean,
well, have you been paying attention to politics in the last decade or so?
Yeah, but I don't need to contribute more to that.
Well, okay, but maybe
someday.
Maybe it would be something that would be kind of a light, airy, kind of funny look at things.
Maybe it'll find its moment someday.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. When you talked about the feedback you got, what was kind of the common piece of or common compliments you got about the book? Because you're sending it to people who see all kinds of.
The feedback I've gotten is generally that people like the voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's generally from people who don't read the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
So people who I've sent it to, trying to get them to be interested in it, and they'll read a couple chapters. Generally, 3 chapters is a pretty normal amount to send. So I've gotten good feedback about the voice. The few people who have read the whole book do like the arc of the story. So I've gotten very generous feedback from the people who have read it, which is exciting and gives me the confidence that it's time to let people read it.
If you got it, I don't know if you did or if they're even in the business of this, if they give you notes or constructive criticism, is that something you would go back and apply, or is it at that point too late to...
Well, yeah. Once this book's out, it's going to be... it's going to belong to the readers. I've started working on my next project.
Okay.
But...
Not the political thriller.
Not the political thriller.
All right. What are you working on?
The new story is set similar, rural Appalachia, and it's a little bit of a crime thriller.
Okay.
The short story is a friend has been accused of murdering her best friend and sets out to prove that she didn't do it. So
gotcha.
We'll see where that ends up.
See where that ends up.
Feeling good about it so far.
All right. Well, good. I find it fascinating that you majored in English. Not so much you majored in English and political science, but it seems like that would take you in a different direction than sports. Where did the entree into media relations as far as sports come into play?
So it's funny. I was followed various people in Carolina sports world. I went to UNC, and a guy who was writing for GoHeels.com at the time, Turner Walston, was setting out to form a website and asked students if they wanted to work for it. And so I did that for a year. And
because you were a fan, I guess.
I was a fan. Went to a lot of games and was a big track guy. And got to know the then SID Matt Hodgen, a great guy, who at the end of that year asked me if I wanted to come work in the communications office at Carolina. And I still remember sitting in Dave Losey's office with him and Bobby Hunley and not knowing exactly what an SID does. And they gave me a shot, and the rest is history. I fell in love with it. I worked with UNC women's soccer my first fall working with them, and
wow,
learned how to stat soccer.
Yeah.
Dave Losey took me to the College Cup that year, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
So
you better learn to stat soccer the right way if you're following that team, though.
yes, got to get it right.
Well, and I think that's the thing people don't realize about the media relations. They think, okay, well, you're just coordinating interviews or you're writing releases. No, you got to stat the games. Yes. You got to have a baseline understanding, and really more than that, to be honest with you, of the sport. And there is a learning curve. I mean, there's sports I call that, if you hear me, none of them seem to come natural. But if you like volleyball is great. I love volleyball, and it is a work in progress, a process for me, or progress, however you would phrase that. See, I'm not even good at this, Cole. I've been doing it for 30 years, but
But we get better.
Yeah, we get better.
Or we hope we do.
Right, we hope we do. But I just. I'm sure it was like this for you with that. It's the challenge of learning, something that maybe you had a little bit of a knowledge about, but you didn't understand the intricate details of.
Oh yeah, when I was at Bradford, I took over lacrosse up there, and
oh wow,
I had never statted lacrosse, and I had to set up Barnhill College in my office and stat old games to learn what I was doing, and I came home sore from the first game from being so tense trying to do it. And no, I mean that's the way it is, and you've got to keep up with rule changes and keep up with the state of the game and be ready for anything.
So at East Carolina, your responsibilities, I would say, chiefly are women's basketball. So you got to be part of the great NCAA tournament run and the conference championship run. That was a lot of fun. We established you're a runner, so you're involved with track and field and cross country.
Yes.
And there's going to be a new coach soon enough, so we'll know who that is, I would think, within the next little bit. And then soccer.
Yes.
And what else do
and
you
lacrosse.
have? And lacrosse. Oh, well, there you go.
Yes.
That's it, right? Of course.
Full year.
Yeah, but it is a full year. Is there, how many years in Greenville doing this?
This will be my third.
Oh, will it really?
Going into number 3.
Wow, so your first one was, see, I think it's you. Women's soccer at UNC, championship after and then obviously the women's basketball team wins a championship in your first year.
And what a year that was.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And I think his first year was our best lacrosse season ever.
Yep, won 10 games.
Yeah, look at that.
That was a good team.
It's not the kiss of death; it's the kiss of coal.
Yeah, and he was trying to teach people. We were asking him, "How do you stat lacrosse?" And he's like, "Well, this is called a clear." And I'm like, "Okay, you got me lost. I know what goals are."
My sister was a college basketball player, coached in college. In fact, was on staff here many, many, many years ago, and got out of coaching. And one of the places she had coached wanted her to come back and take over lacrosse, and she did. And they were terrible, and she coached them to where they were very representable. And then I think she couldn't stand the losing, that from that aspect. And the recruiting's always tough. But I would go and watch some of those games, and it's a really, at the women's level, it's a great sport to watch. It's a really fun sport to watch. And there's a lot of, it's the combination of basketball, and that's where she kind of caught on with her. She ended up becoming a great tactician, I think. And, you have that. You have soccer. You have hockey. Field hockey, there's aspects of all of it in there. So it's a lot of fun.
Lacrosse,
it really is.
I think, especially at the college level, if you don't like it, you just haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
It's a great sport.
No, it really is.
And we've got a great...
And the men's are great, don't get me wrong, but the women's sport's a different sport.
It's different.
Yeah.
And we've got a great group here. They're an absolute joy to work with. So I've been very lucky.
We're going to miss Kurt Kraft, though.
Yes.
Great dude.
He was awesome. Just one of the best people you'll be around.
Yeah.
Was very generous with me, especially coming in my first year.
Yeah.
He really took me in and helped me get going here in Greenville.
Can you give a character in one of your maybe not the one you're working on now, maybe give a Kurt Kraft-esque character maybe in the book?
We can make that happen.
Okay. Yeah. Can we get a Pilk-like character in the book that kind of is a know-it-all?
Oh, we've already got some of those.
All right. Excellent. Pilk did throw up the thumbs up. He didn't throw up. Yeah, very good there. All right. The name of the book, An Appalachian Nightmare. You can pre-order it now through Kindle.
Yes.
And also do that at cwbarnhillbooks.com. Cole William Barnhill's the name on the book. His first novel. It is out. I'm very excited about this. I'm glad you came in, and we'll promote this and mention it when it comes out on the 10th, certainly. And good luck with the new book, and good luck with the sports year ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome to have you in. All right, Cole with us. Great to have him. Stay tuned. We'll have more of the PJ Show right after these words.
And now, the the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
We've had another great show today. Had a really fun one yesterday, and got a little bit of traction on wrestling Twitter yesterday, with Chris Statlander on. And Jeff Gluck, great to have him on. And also really great to have Cole with us in the studio. We're going to have the best of tomorrow. We will re-air the Jeff Gluck interview in case you missed it or only heard a portion of it or just want to relive the magic. Of course, you can always do that via the IBX Media app. And Jenny Dalton Hill from earlier in the week had some real smart things to say on the state of NCAA athletics. I mean, she's a 3-time national champion in softball, so she speaks from a space of, I think, great expertise. So, Virgil Givens, ECU director of track and field and cross country, will be on the show Monday. Plus, reaction from the scrimmage Saturday for Pirate football, and we will have audio. Hear from the coordinators, including John David Baker for the first time here on the show in that post setting. Thank you, Philip the Ref Pilkington. Thanks to Jeff Gluck. Thanks to Cole Barnhill. And catch you in the morning on Talk of the Town. Back here on Monday for a fresh edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. Gluck and Dalton Hill on the best of tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Don't forget, return of Hoist the Colors radio with Steve and I go at noon on Monday. Have a great evening. Be safe out there, everybody.